Alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the vlog, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time watching, be sure and check out the rest of my videos that we've got on YouTube and follow along with this build. Of course, this is just another step in this little build that we're doing here on the Zr2. So be sure and go back and watch some of these other videos. If you're tuning in for the first time, please subscribe. We've got plenty more projects coming for this guy, but today I wanted to share with you what we're getting into. I saved you the time of watching me tape this off, and right now I've got my heater running. I'm gonna put a little bit of heat into this, make sure it's nice and warm so this will lay right. But what we're gonna do today is this bumper, of course, when you go to the oversized tires and you go to articulating and doing all that good stuff, this tire tends to get into this bumper a little bit, so this front flare had to come off, the little flarette. I don't have one laying here, or I would show you. No, I don't have one here, unfortunately. Never mind. Got all kinds of other things, but here's the other thing you'll notice is gone off the truck is the front valence. You have to notch the sides of the valence out so the tire will clear, and that thing sticks down to about right here. So it really kind of hurts your approach angle and stuff, and if you're doing any kind of crazy wheeling, definitely tire can get into it. So we do have a rough country 2.5 inch lift. This is your first time watching this. This lift does a great job. I'll post a little video showing kind of the flex on this thing. I had it on 3 wheels and it still didn't rub at all. Even with this crazy offset on here, it still had 0 rub. So I was pretty happy about it. These wheels are Fuel D525s. They're 31-10-50s, and they have a -3 offset, so they're pretty aggressive. Don't mind the mud. I had to go to the salvage yard the other day to pick up a few things. But what I wanted to talk about today is how durable is Plasti Dip. When you're off-roading, it's not too bad, but that's what we're going to do. We're going to cover up some of this. I don't know if you can see it real well, but where the flarettes used to be on here, there's a little bit of rust, like surface rust, and there's some scratches, and then I need to do something with this hole, but it doesn't really bother me. What bothers me more is this haze that you can see on the bumper. So I'm taking care of that problem today, and we're also going to go back and re-dip this front and the rear flare and the bumper. And the reasons I'm doing this is because when you're off-road and you get mud and rocks, these things get pounded. So the best way to hide those rock chips and the discolorization of the stock flare is to Plasti Dip it. This stuff has been on here for over a year. That was the first thing I did to the truck when I got it. I've clearly had it for, well, over a year now, and it still looks pretty good. As you can see, just a little bit of fade from where it's been in the sun, but right here was the main reason. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's got some pits in it and stuff from where the rocks have hit it. It gets really bad as you go down. You can see it right there, but that is 1 year of off-roading, and I had to pretty much touch the thing with the camera for you to even see that, so it's really not even that bad. But the front flares kind of took a lot of the abuse, in all honesty. Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell on this one. It's not as bad, but you can see some places here. It's actually just, yeah, there's a spot there where rocks and stuff have kind of ate away at it. I mean, it held up really well for a year. I mean, that actually looks pretty good. And you step back and look at that, and it looks great. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to the front bumper today. Now, what was interesting about this is, you know, having that infab bar on here makes things kind of difficult. So what I did, excuse the wind noise, what we ended up doing was masking everything off and just using, you know, basically just some towels to kind of prevent any kind of overspray from getting on some crucial stuff. I will mask these off in a second, but I'm going to be spraying down in here, here, and around through here. And I think I can get a good enough spray to cover this thing. And here's a good example of why we're doing this. See right there where the flare used to be, you got some surface rust, and of course the lines from where they were, and that's where your bracket goes that holds that flare. So to remove those flarets, you do have to grind off this stud, and then this thing pops loose here and it comes off. So they're pretty easy to take off. However, it's the damage that they cause when you take them off. And speaking of damage, let's talk trail damage. This truck does have just a little bit of trail damage. Right here was its first real taste of trail damage. This is caused from crazy offset wheels, lots of articulation, full lock, and no fear. That happened at the Holston video. If you go back and watch some of the previous stuff on this truck, you'll see that we did a off-road test with basically a stock truck and some mud terrains, and it went everywhere. This thing was so legit. That rear locker makes it kind of unstoppable. The only thing that really will hurt you on these trucks is open front diff and not a lot of ground clearance on a stock truck. But you know, we don't have that problem now. So it actually grabbed this flare and pulled it away. Now, I've trimmed all this out in here. You probably can't see it all that well because it's a little dark, but all this has been cut out. So this tire can go back into here and it won't have any problems as far as getting into anything. But yeah, basically this thing, I had to drift stitch it back together because it absolutely destroyed my flare. So that really sucks. But oh yeah, and update on buying flares. GM will price these at about $200 per flare. The plant in Lansing does have plenty of them, so if you can't find one and you're having trouble at a junkyard, go to your nearest dealer. They can get them for you. Alright, we got it sprayed. I'm just letting it dry. Now, this is the crazy thing about Plasti Dip. When you first look at it, you're like, oh my god, that looks awful. This is terrible. Why did I do this? And then if you let it dry, the results are awesome. It is a matte finish. And let's advance this time about 30 minutes. Alright, you're going to like this. I'm really impressed. It looks good. So, this is our before and after. Ooh, look at that. That is nice. That's what happens when you use even coats. Crack the can open. You basically want to kind of mist it. You know, about this far. Spray it kind of light. Let it dry a little bit. That gives it something to tack to. You know, as you're spraying here, stop, let it tack, come over here, start to spray, let it tack, go back over here. Now that tack is formed a little bit, it'll hold. You can see the result is just pure awesomeness. I mean, if that's even a word, awesomeness. But anyway, this is great. Hides every bit of the problems that the truck may have had as far as a scratch or any kind of a ding or anything. I mean, look at that. Those little pits you're seeing are actually rock chips from before. That's actually not anything in the paint or anything wrong with the paint. This side's another good example. That is just awesome. Honestly, it looks like paint, guys. Alright guys, moving on to the rear bumper while the front is drying. I went ahead and masked this off. We're going to take the license plate off. I don't want to dip this because when we do our rooftop tent, I may actually have to use this as a step. However, this piece I think comes off. I believe it does. So we'll probably just take this piece off, take the plate off, and spray everything else, and then put this back on, and these will be dipped the color of the bumper. Just in the few minutes of me talking there, this guy is already starting to dry out a little bit in the back, and you can see the results are going to be awesome on this thing as well. Of course, I'm probably going to crack open the new can because the old can's starting to kind of clog up on me. And that's the key thing to Plasti Dip. Once the can starts to clog and it starts to put out those big, you know, kind of chunks, that's when you're going to get this look right here. This is an example of cracking open the can, letting it sit too long, and then starting to use it again. So, you know, obviously gravity is pulling it down. But I'm going to crack open a fresh can, and now that this has something to tack to, I can make it look really good. Alright guys, so we got our rear bumper dipped. We're letting it dry right now. It's still kind of wet. You can see it's a little wet due to the kind of the bubbles and stuff in it. It's just kind of drying out right now. tried to mask off the bed a little bit better than this one, so everything's good there. Next step, we're going to do these flares. Alright guys, we got all the painting done. Everything's cleaned back up. It's all cured out. See the end results? Pretty good on this Plasti Dip job here. And I've got a little bit of overspray on the back I got to take care of. It turned out awesome. And then the rear bumper is now matte as well. And it looks really good. It's turned out awesome. But if you guys are wheeling your trucks, taking them off-road, and you don't want to paint everything or have to spend $200 to $300 to paint stuff, highly recommend going with the Plasti Dip. It is a cheap alternative and it works great. I've got $7 in this entire thing, so not a bad deal. Actually a lot. It's 2 cans, so $14 total, and it painted the front bumper, all 4 flares, and the rear bumper, and I still have most of a can left. So anyway, like and subscribe, and stay tuned. I've got some more stuff coming. Thanks for watching.